We're at gotomath.com, click on the calculus. Let's go down to limits at infinity, and 4-1 is what we want to look at. Whoa, there's a graph with a spike. Um, anyway, it says evaluate the limit. Let's get this written down here. Okay, so we're heading off to negative infinity. So we can kind of see where this asymptote, if one exists, 1, 2, looks like less or greater than -1, or how would you say that? Less than -1. Between -1 and -2 is what it looks to me like. All right, isn't that interesting? Okay, well, let's go over to the whiteboard. Write this thing out. So we have the limit as x approaches negative infinity of 8x minus 8 over the square root of 49x squared minus 10x plus 1. Now you'll want to check out previous sections like button 2, button 1, no, button 3. We're talking about 3-1. We kind of get into a whole lot more detail than what we're going to here. However, we have a negative here, so we're going back in this direction on the x-axis. But the way to deal with this is, the best way to deal with this is take a -1 and multiply it by the limit as x approaches infinity. Okay, that's positive. In other words, we're going to be looking at it in this direction, but there's going to be some symmetry involved. (49x squared minus 10x plus 1). Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this radical right here. We're going to do a trick. Okay, it's a trick. We're going to square the numerator. This way we can square root the numerator. We square it, then square root. Okay. And then, so we have the numerator square rooted, the denominator square rooted, then we can just take the whole thing and square root it, right? Get rid of both square roots. Anyway, I guess I better just write it out. The limit as x approaches infinity, so we're going to square the numerator, square it, but then we're going to square root it. Okay, this is just a little trick here. And of course the denominator is automatically squared. 10x plus 1. Now we can rewrite this by getting rid of both these square roots and just square rooting the whole thing. Okay, so -1 times the limit as x approaches infinity of the square root of this whole jiving mess, 8x minus 8 quantity squared over, this is one of the propositions, one of the properties of limits when we're dealing with composite functions, and that's going to be what we're really dealing with here. So now what we can do is, I should be writing equals here, I suppose. What we should be doing, what we're going to be doing now is right, square root the whole thing. So this is like one of the properties, I think it's like problem 18 in evaluating limits analytically. So minus 8 quantity squared x squared minus 10x plus 1. Okay. And what we got going on here now, so we want to evaluate this limit here. And we need to multiply all this stuff out. But you know what? Really, 8x times 8x, the 8x or 64x squared is really the only thing we're concerned with, and not the rest of the terms out here. But you'd end up with, I don't know, what do we got? We're going to have positive 64 at the end. We're going to have 8x times, that's 64x minus 64 is 128x. 8x times 8 is 64x minus, I think this is right, and then plus 64, even though this stuff doesn't matter. Okay, this stuff does not matter at all. 49x squared minus 10x plus 1. And this is the limit as x approaches infinity. And remember, the whole thing is under the radical. Of course, we got this negative 1 times all that. Now remember the shortcut, our leading terms, 64x squared, we got a 49x squared. So both of these are the same exponent, right? It has the same power, I should say. And therefore we just take 64 over 49. That's all we got to do. So all this is equal to 64 over 49, but we take the square root of it, 64 over 49. Remember, don't forget the negative 1 there. And so the square root of 64 is 8, and the square root of 49 is 7. And so we end up with negative 8 sevenths, which is a little bigger than 1 there, but it's negative. Alright, so that's all you got to do to deal with that kind of stuff. Negative 8 sevenths, so let's remember that. So does that look like about negative 8 sevenths? Looks about like it to me. Let's hit the answer, and that's what we come up with, negative 8 sevenths. Okay, so you'll want to come on over, practice that. Don't let it intimidate you, and I shall see you there maybe someday.